Hi, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Miss Mandy, and you're joining me here on my deck in my backyard in beautiful Big Lake, Minnesota. So I hope that this recording finds you happy and healthy. And this is my first time doing this out here, so I'm hoping that you may be picking up on some of the sounds of nature. And I apologize if there's mowing the lawn happening and maybe some children playing. Hopefully, that just adds to the wonder and beauty of this practice. Anything goes. So, if you'll join me on your mat, blanket, wherever you find yourself for this practice, sitting up nice and tall, an easy pose. You can put your feet in locusts, whatever feels good to you here. And sitting up nice and tall. Let's take a roll of the shoulders back. Bring them nice down the spine, pointing the shoulders towards the earth. Sitting up nice and tall through the spine, reaching the crown of the head to the sky. And gently closing your eyes if you feel comfortable. Lightly laying your hands on your knees. And just coming into the present moment. And just kind of checking in with yourself. How are you doing this morning, this afternoon, this evening? Checking in with your emotions, no judgment. Just taking a note of where you're at. Noticing any areas you might be holding some tension in your body. Again, without judgment. Just bringing your awareness. Again, sitting up nice and tall through the spine. Let's bring our awareness to our breath. And just once again, without judgment, just taking note of how you're breathing. Noticing any tension in the breath. Let's start bringing awareness to our breath and begin taking long, slow, deep breaths in through the nose. And releasing. Let's take a long, slow, deep breath, sitting up nice and tall, coming in through the nose and bringing that breath all the way down and beginning to fill the belly like a balloon. Filling, 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 and then releasing through the mouth. Let's do that 2 more times with a nice, audible, cleansing out breath through the nose, through the mouth. Coming in through the nose. And release. One more time. Now let's begin breathing in through the nose. Nice, long, slow, deep belly breaths. And releasing through the nose. In and out the nose, down into the belly, releasing out the nose. You can slowly open your eyes. Sitting up nice and tall, begin to move. Continuing your long, slow, deep breaths in and out the nose. Sitting up nice and tall, let's take our gaze to the right and back to center and to the left and back to center. To the right and center and to the left and back to center. Let's take our fingertips and tent them out long, just lightly touching the fingertips to the mat on either side. Let's take our right ear towards our right shoulder, feeling a nice stretch through the left side of the neck. Just nice and gentle. And to deepen that stretch, let's reach up with the right hand if you're comfortable. And just gently placing the hand left side of the head. Continuing to sit up nice and tall through the spine. And taking a long, slow, deep breath. We'll take one more breath here. And release your hand, fingertips back to the mat, and head to neutral. Let's take left ear to left shoulder. And reaching up with the left hand, gently placing it on the right side of the head. And take one more breath here. And releasing the fingertips back to the mat, bringing the head to neutral. Let's take a slight jut of the neck forward and bringing chin to chest, nice and slow. And on the inhale, bringing the chin up, nice and slowly. And sitting up nice and tall. Just taking the gaze up and opening up through the neck, through the chest. And releasing. Head back to neutral. Now let's take our hands and come behind us for a nice chest expansion. I'll sit to the side here. You get a little better view. And reaching behind, clasping your hands and just pulling the fists, however works in your body, pulling the fists down towards the earth. Opening up through the chest and just gazing slightly up, opening through the chest. Sitting up nice and tall, and if it feels good for you, just bending forward at the hips, continuing to reach the arms back, and slowly and gently coming forward just as far as works for you in your body. And when you feel your threshold, you can gently bring your arms up, opening up through the shoulders and just coming down as far as you can, maybe bringing your forehead to the mat. And taking one more breath here, slowly and carefully, gently rising up. And releasing the arms. Now we'll come into butterfly or cobbler's pose, bound angle. Bringing the soles of your feet to touch, sitting up nice and tall, grounding down through the sit bones. Once again, reaching the crown of the head towards the sky. And bringing the soles of the feet to touch. Let's open our feet while we have them here and just give ourselves a gentle foot massage. Massaging out the toes and the bottom of the foot. Hopefully you can hear me in the lawnmower right next door, which I did not anticipate. Isn't too distracting. And the other foot. Nice massage. Just taking a little bit of time for ourselves. Massaging each toe. Just whatever feels good here for you. Massaging out the heel. And bringing the soles of the feet together once more. You can wrap your fingers, your hands around your feet, or just grasping onto your ankles. You can bring your elbows to knees and kind of opening up, pressing your knees towards the earth. That feels good in your body. And bending forward at the hips, keeping a nice straight spine. Just coming down, down, down. What feels comfortable, nice and slow with a nice straight back. Maybe bringing your elbows to the floor for support. And when you get as far as you can hinge forward at the hips, just allowing the head, neck, and shoulders to hang naturally. Releasing any tension, maybe taking a few turns of the neck, shaking loose. And maybe bringing the forehead to your feet, your toes, if that's accessible to you. Or you can stack the palms on top of your feet. Or maybe stacking your fists in front of your feet and bringing your forehead down to your fists. And taking long, slow, deep breaths in and out the nose. And just opening up, feeling the hips open with each exhale. And when you're ready, pressing your palms into the floor, or the earth or the mat, and just slowly pressing up, hinging up at the hips and coming up to a seat. And we can bring our legs out nice and wide. You shake them out a little bit. Sitting up nice and tall, the wide legs. Now we'll bring our left foot and place the sole of the left foot on the inside of the right thigh. Sitting up nice and tall. We're going to keep our pelvis squared to the front of the mat. We're going to reach up nice and tall through the arms. We're going to take our right hand and taking a nice slight twist, taking our right hand to our left knee. Reaching up through the left hand, keeping the left hand by the left ear, taking a slight twist, a bend, reaching the left hand towards the right toes. And whatever feels good for you here. And reach towards the right hand, towards the right foot, grasping onto the foot. Feeling the nice stretch through the left side of the body. And taking one more breath here. And slowly rising up to a seat. And releasing, sitting up nice and tall. And bringing the arms back down to the earth. Now let's switch sides, taking the left foot out long, bringing the sole of the right foot into the inner left thigh. Let's engage the left leg by really pointing those toes, keeping them nice and engaged, pointing towards the sky. And we'll reach up nice and tall, keeping the pelvis slightly forward. We're going to bring the left hand and grasp onto the right knee, reaching up nice and tall through the left arm, stretching up nice and tall, keeping the right arm next to the right ear. Let's take a bend towards the left toes. Maybe taking a grasp on the outside of the left foot. Whatever's accessible for you here, whatever feels good in your body, feeling that nice stretch through the right side body this time. And remembering to take long, slow, deep breaths in and out the nose. And we'll take one more breath here. And reaching up, and sitting up nice and tall, reaching up the right hand, and bringing both arms down. Take our leg out, and now we're going to come into a tabletop position and begin working on warming up the spine. So when we come into a tabletop position, we want to have our fingertips spread nice and wide. We want to make sure that we're putting our wrists stacked right so beneath the shoulder. We want our knees stacked beneath the hips. We want to keep our feet, the tops of our feet, nice. Press down to the mat and look back nice and straight. Now we're going to work on some cat and cow movements to warm up the spine. So slowly beginning with the tailbone, we're going to drop the belly towards the mat, arching the spine, pressing through all 10 fingers, reaching up through the shoulders, bringing the chin just slightly forward. head towards the sky, taking our gaze forward. And on the exhale, we're going to again begin with the tailbone. Begin rounding the spine. Pressing up, rounding the spine, pressing through all 10 fingertips. Feeling it through the shoulders. Feeling that stretch all the way from the base of the spine. All the way up through the shoulders and allowing our head and neck to just hang nice and loose. No tension there. And on the inhale, dropping the belly once again. Coming down into cow. Pressing through all 10 fingers. Reaching forward with the chin. And rounding into cat. Take a few more rounds of cat and cow at your own pace. Breathing. Connecting breath to movement. Gently warming the spine. And when you're ready, coming back to a nice neutral spine. We're going to do a few more side body stretches. So we're going to take our hands and just walk to the right. Keeping the pelvis facing towards the front of the mat, keeping the hips elevated, and just bumping the hips out to the left and just feeling that stretch through the left side. Pressing through. And bringing the hips back to neutral and slowly walking the hands to the left side. And feeling that stretch through the right side body, taking a bump to the hips to the right. Feeling that stretch. And slowly walking the hands back to center. My mat is very warm. All right, so we're coming back to a neutral spine. We're going to press back through our toes and stretch out our calves and the backs of our legs. So we're going to take our right foot out, pressing it long on the mat. We're going to take our toes to the mat. I'm going to just press back through all 10 fingers and just feel that stretch through the back of the calf. Nice, slow stretch. Pressing through all 10 fingers. And coming back, bringing the knee to the back to the mat. And we'll take the left foot, stretch it out back, and bringing the toes to the mat. Pressing through all 10 fingers. Just press back on the heel and stretching out back of that leg. Nice and gentle stretch. We don't want to take it too far. You don't want to be pulsing, just nice, gentle stretch. And release. And we're going to take our big toes to touch. And we're going to take our knees out nice and wide for a wide leg child's pose. So setting back and back down on your heels. And get nice and ready on your heels. You can slowly start to walk your hands forward. Feeling the stretch through your shoulders, reaching your arms out nice and straight. And bringing the chest, kind of bringing the belly even to the mat, the chest, and ultimately the forehead. Long, slow, deep, cleansing breaths in and out the nose, releasing into the mat, melting into the mat. Making any adjustments, maybe bringing your knees out even a little wider. Feeling the hips gently opening. And we're going to thread the needle. So without getting up very much from this position, we're just going to take the right arm and we'll sneak it underneath the left shoulder and bring our right shoulder down to the mat and bring the right cheek to the mat and reach forward with the left hand and still setting back on your feet. Thread the needle, stretch the right shoulder. And bringing the left hand towards your left cheek, pressing up, pulling the right arm out, bringing the right arm long on the mat, sneaking that left arm under the right shoulder, pressing the left shoulder down to the mat, reaching out long with your right hand, bringing the right cheek to the mat. Take one more breath here. And bringing the right palm to the cheek, pressing up through the right palm. Now we're going to take our palms out nice and wide, reaching out in front of us, shoulders width apart, coming up on our knees. We're going to tuck all 10 toes and press up through the hips, coming into our first downward facing dog. Pressing through, feeling all 10 toes grounding through all 10 fingertips. And trying to press the heels towards the earth, maybe pedaling out the feet, taking whatever movements in your first downward facing dog feel good to you here. Allowing the neck and head to just relax, hang nice and loose. Maybe take a shake of the head. Let's come up on our toes. Stretching through, feeling all 10 toes stretch. And coming back, pressing the heels as close to the earth as possible. Pressing through all 10 fingers, releasing the neck and shoulders. Coming back up on your toes. And exhaling, heels to the earth. Inhaling up on your toes. And exhaling, heels to the earth. Now take your gaze between your hands. And we'll take a step, walk, float, however you need to get here. Coming up, bringing your feet together. And we're going to keep our feet hip distance apart. And keep our nice bend in our legs for a ragdoll pose. So bringing your torso down, resting your torso on your bent legs and trying to sort of sit back, not bringing our knees too forward over our toes. And allowing the head and neck to just gently release. And we'll bring opposite hand to opposite elbow. And we'll just hold here. Maybe begin rocking side to side. Taking again whatever movement feels good for you here in your body. Remembering long, slow, deep breaths. And relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. Releasing any tension in the jaw. Maybe picking up the toes and bringing them back down and feeling the earth. Picking up your toes and bringing them back down and feeling the earth. And releasing your hands down to the floor or the back of your shins, coming into a forward fold, slightly straightening the legs, almost to straight. And then we're going to slowly rise up to tall mountain, one vertebrae at a time. Nice and slow. Engaging your core. Engaging the thighs. And bringing head, neck, and shoulders up last. Taking a roll of the shoulders down the back. Let's reach the arms up. Bringing the palms to touch. Taking a slight back bend. Bringing our gaze up towards the heavens. And coming back up to tall mountain. Let's bring our arms down to cactus, reaching the chin towards the sky. And once again, rising up tall mountain. And we're going to bend forward, coming into a forward fold. To a halfway lift. Technical difficulties. And coming down into forward fold. Planting the hands on either side of the feet. We're going to step back. The right leg back, coming into a low lunge. And step the left foot back to meet the right, coming into high plank. We're going to slowly lower down all the way to the mat. You can shift forward on your toes, coming into slow push up, keeping your elbows in towards your body and coming all the way down, lowering down to the mat, taking the tops of the feet to the mat. I'm going to bring our palms up and placing them on other side of our face. Elbows down. I'm going to do a low cobra. So bringing the head down towards the mat and just reaching up, bringing the chest. And bringing our hands back one step. And pressing up through the palms and bringing the tummy up off of the mat. Keeping our elbows tucked in nice towards the body and release. Bringing the forehead to the mat. We're going to step our hands back this time, even with our rib cage. This time we're going to press all the way up, bringing our thighs up off the mat and bringing our elbows almost straight. Do not lock your elbows, keeping a nice soft bend. Keeping the shoulders nice down, away from the ears. Taking our gaze forward. And coming all the way back down to the mat. And pressing up, tucking all 10 toes and pressing up into a downward facing dog. Taking a few breaths here in downward facing dog. And we're going to step, walk, or float back to the front of the mat and coming up into tall mountain. We're going to do a few rounds of sun salutation. Just checking everything is good and in working order. Okay, so tall mountain, coming into a forward fold and rising up to a halfway lift. Nice straight flat back, reaching the crown of the head forward, coming down, stepping back to plank, lowering down chaturanga if it's in your practice, coming up to an upward facing dog or cobra, and back to a downward facing dog. Gazing between your hands. Let's step, walk, or float to the front of the mat, rising up once again, tall mountain, and coming down into a forward fold, rising up to a halfway lift, and coming down into a forward fold, planting your hands, stepping back to plank, and lowering down chaturanga, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. We'll take our right leg high and stepping our right foot behind our right thumb. We can let our left knee come down to the mat, left foot comes down to the mat, and pressing in through your right foot, pressing the body up and coming up. Keeping the shoulders away from the ears and coming back down and bringing the left foot to meet the right. Rising up once again and coming down into a forward fold, coming up to a halfway lift, coming down high plank, lowering down chaturanga, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. This time, let's take that left leg high and bring the left toe behind the left thumb, allowing the right knee to drop down to the mat, right foot to the top of the mat, and rising up, pressing through the left foot. And bringing the hands back down to the mat, coming up on your right toes, stepping the right foot back to meet the left, and step, walk, or float to the front of the mat. Rising up one more time, tall mountain. We'll go through one more sun salutation. Coming down to a forward fold, rising up to a halfway lift. Down into a forward fold, planting the hands, stepping back, high plank, chaturanga, upward facing dog. And we're coming into downward facing dog. Now from our downward facing dog, we're going to go into half pigeon. So if you're familiar with the pose, you can go ahead and get into it. Otherwise, we're going to bring our right leg high. And we're going to bring our right knee behind our right wrist. We're going to bring our calf parallel to the front of the mat if we can. So bringing the left or the right ankle behind the left wrist. Now we're going to take our left leg. Now really focusing on our alignment and making sure that our left leg is coming straight out back from our left hip. We're going to walk that left leg slowly down, taking a nice stretch in the front of that hip. And we're going to have our front leg, however is comfortable. And we're going to press through our hands, taking a slight back bend here, gazing up to the sky. And we're going to walk our hands slowly forward, coming down to your elbows if that's comfortable to you. Maybe stacking the palms and bringing the forehead to the mat. Whatever is accessible for you here. Really great hip opening pose. We'll take a few breaths here. Long, slow, deep breaths and just feeling your body releasing further into the pose on each exhale. And pressing up through your palms. Let's bring our hands wide on the mat, coming up on your left toes, lifting up on the right leg, and coming back to a downward facing dog. And we'll do a half pigeon on the left side. So bringing the left leg high and bringing the left knee behind the left wrist, left ankle behind the right wrist, and coming back, straight back with that right leg, inching that leg back to feel that stretch in the front hip flexor. Taking whatever adjustments you need to with your front lower leg. And taking a slight back bend, pressing up through your hands. And slowly coming down. And releasing into the pose. Long, slow, deep breaths in and out of the nose. And slowly rising up, pressing the palms into the mat, keeping our hands nice and wide. Come up onto our right toes and bring the left foot back to meet the right, coming into a downward facing dog. Taking whatever movements feels really good right here. Now we're going to step our right foot forward, bring our left foot to cross behind, and slowly come down to a seat. And keeping our knees elevated, slowly lowering down onto our back, one vertebrae at a time. And let's slowly bring our knees into the chest. Give ourselves a nice little hug here. Maybe rock back and forth. Loosen out the lower back. You can bring your knees up to a 90-degree angle. Bringing the arms out wide to a capital T. And slowly dropping the knees off to the right side for supine twist. Taking the gaze left fingers. Maybe taking your right hand and gently resting it on the outside of your left knee to further the stretch. And releasing the hand, going back to neutral and dropping the knees off to the left side and taking the gaze over to the right. Taking the left fingers, gently resting them on the outside of the right knee, deepening that stretch. And releasing the left hand, bringing the knees back to center. Let's drop our feet right down next to the glutes. We'll take our arms on either side of the body, palms down. Take a roll of the shoulders down, back, along the spine. Take a slight bend of the neck, bringing the chin to chest slightly. We're going to go into bridge pose, so feet hip distance apart, pressing through the feet, pressing through the palms, and lifting up on the hips. And release. Just to a hover, coming back up, engaging the core, engaging the glutes, and hold. And release back down to the mat. And really feeling the entire length of your spine and grounding down into the earth, into the mat, all the way from the tailbone up through your neck. Just bringing the feet up, bringing the knees up, and bringing your feet all the way up, knees bent. We're going to open up the knees and grabbing up with our arms for happy baby. You either grasp onto your ankles, your legs, maybe the outsides of either foot, insides of either foot, or even take your peace fingers and wrap them around your big toes. And just gently keeping the length of the spine nice and grounded. Maybe rock back and forth and massage out the lower back, lower spine. Preparing our body for our final resting pose of Savasana. And releasing the toes, releasing the legs out nice and long on your mat. And the legs to a comfortable distance apart, allowing the feet to fall open. Taking a roll of the shoulders down away from the ears. And resting your palms up for energy, palms down for grounding. Just a nice distance away from the body. And releasing any control over your breathing and just allowing your body to return to its natural rhythm. And once again, checking in with your body without judgment. Noticing how you're feeling. Allowing relaxation to take over every part of your body and just releasing and relaxing into the moment. Bringing your attention to just above your toes and imagining there's a golden sunshine ball of glowing energy. It's so nice and warm. This energy has the power to relax and release tension from your muscles as it passes over. Beginning with your toes and your feet, coming to your lower legs, your knees, the upper halves of your legs, the pelvis. Your lower back and belly, the upper back and chest. Feeling your shoulders and your shoulder blades release. The top parts of your arms, your elbows, forearms, fingertips, and wrists. Your throat is relaxing, your neck, your entire face, jaw, and your whole head. Now your whole body is completely relaxed and melting into the earth beneath you. I encourage you to continue your Savasana just as long as possible. Maybe even pause this video and press play once again when you're ready. When you're ready, slowly rolling onto one side, using your arm as a pillow. And taking a moment to review the